We're going to be on YouTube for a minute. And thank you for all of you that have your cameras on. It helps me to know, to see what's going on and be able to pay attention. So, as you guys know, I'm very passionate about creative real estate. For a minute. So I'm very passionate about creative real estate. Specifically, been doing wholesaling for years. I asked one of my friends, Andrew LeBaron, to come on here. Andrew and I have known each other for many years. We actually had very parallel type of business experiences. We both worked in like the banking area. I was with Wells Fargo. He was with Chase. My boss used to be business partners with Andrew's old boss back in the day. So we both got into wholesaling around the same time. Andrew worked for a very large wholesaler here in town in Phoenix, and I worked with Sean Terry as well. And I'll let him take a few minutes to talk about that. But also, we got very interested in a lot of the same topics: wholesaling, creative real estate. And Andrew is totally skyrocketing. He's blowing up into another whole area and is thinking outside the box about what he's doing. What we're going to do today is have him explain a little bit about himself, where he started, what he's doing now. But we have a case study of a deal that we did together. It's actually a house that he's living in when he's in Arizona. He's in Texas right now. But whenever he's in Arizona, he lives at the house that we did a deal on together, and there's a creative real estate deal. So we'll take a few minutes to talk about that. Andrew, welcome to the call here. I really appreciate you jumping on. Thanks so much. We'll have to ask you to unmute, though. I think it's muted. Andrew, can you hear us?
Yeah, for some reason there was a lot of connectivity issues. Can you guys hear me okay? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah,
Brandon?
I can hear you now. Everyone else can hear him? Good. Okay, thumbs up. Yep.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep, we can hear you. So you're
It's
out in
slow.
you're out in Texas right now, right?
Okay. I'm gonna move a little bit so that maybe I think if I move a little bit, I might be in a better area. You guys hear me okay?
You bet. Yes, we can.
Okay. So yeah, I got into real estate. Okay, cool. I got into real estate a while ago, working at Chase Bank. Funny enough, I was on the phone.
Uh-oh. It froze, Andrew. No. And we dropped him. Right, there he is. He's back. See if he can unmute himself so we can hear him, though.
So sorry, guys. I'm not sure what the internet's doing over here.
No problem. We got you back now.
Okay. So years ago, I was on the phone with a guy calling in to get a payoff quote for 13 properties in La Jolla, California, Newport Beach, California. I noticed that his name was on none of the loans, but his name was on the deeds of all these properties. I thought, okay, what kind of witchcraft is going on? Again, this is about 8 years ago, a long time ago. And he says, yeah, I don't have a lot of time to talk about it, but I picked these up with wrap financing. I have zero liability on the debt, but I have 100% ownership of the properties. And I said, that doesn't even sound legal. He says, well, it is. There is a little bit of risk involved, but very little risk. I'm like, holy smokes. So long story short, I got into learning more about wrap financing. He picked up that portfolio for $10,000 to $15,000 to $20,000 per house and sold it and made millions of dollars in the space of 8 months. Okay. It took him 8 months to make, I think he cleared $3 to $4 million by selling it at a discount to someone else. But he bought them with wrap financing. Okay. The property that Brandon introduced to me which I've known Brandon for, like he said, a lot of years. I have mad respect for him. You guys are in such great hands being with Brandon. Brandon has taught many people how to be very, very wealthy in real estate. And anyways, he built this mastermind called the Go Giver Mastermind, where very few people are selected to enter. And he brought some of the brightest minds of seller carry, creative financing, so on and so forth, to the table. Anyways, he sends me this deal in Northern Arizona about a year.
I'm going to share my
ago,
screen.
Maybe?
I'm sharing my screen
Okay.
right now, Andrew, as you talk about it, so they can see the house. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. This house is up in the pines. It's in a very nice neighborhood, lots of pine trees, and I'm in the valley, so I wanted to get away. And I was living in Lakeside nearby, and I saw this property pop up because Brandon sent it to me. Brandon said, "Hey, I got a deal for you. I'll probably do seller financing." So Brandon and I tag teamed the deal. We called the guy. His name was Stanley. He's still with us. He's an older gentleman. And
here's the paperwork, everyone. And I'll show you this after Andrew tells the story. I'll show you guys the contract afterwards.
It's all legit. HUD statements, they're all real, and this isn't made up. So we talked to the guy, and he said, "Yeah, I need out of this thing. Need some money to get out of here, but I need out of this thing." And I think originally wasn't the price going to be like $10K or something like that, $13K. So we actually found out he was behind on his mortgage, and it ended up being around 20 grand out of my pocket. But let me tell you what the interest rate was on this property that I took over. It was 2.8%. It's a 2.8% interest rate loan. When are we going to have that again? We're not.
Never.
Never. Now, funny enough with this one was super creative. And the reason why is because it's actually a VA loan.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where it gets really messy. You can't remove someone from the deed of a VA loan, yet not have the VA have an issue with it. So we added myself to the deed. So I've been added to the deed, and then he signed a dismissal of rights to the property, which is recorded, which is really unique, really interesting. So basically, he has zero rights to the property, even though his name's on it. He's not an owner at all. It's like a quit claim deed. It's like a secret quit claim deed, and it's recorded. And he agrees to it. He's notarized it. And I took over payments on this property. My monthly payment on this is like $600. We're about to move out of it 100% and just rent it out. This thing will probably rent for $1,600 a month. Funny story. Wow. Brandon actually came and stayed in it with his wife and found a mouse in it.
Yeah. But that's awesome because what I loved, this is the spirit of collaboration over competition that I really want everyone to understand. A lot of times we think that other investors are sworn enemies and competition, but most of the time we can do business together. We can figure out win-win solutions. I got some assignment fee. I got some Airbnb stay time. Andrew got a nice house. It all worked out.
Yeah, it was a fun deal.
So can you? So what are you paying per month on it right now? You said about 600 a month.
It's about $600 a month. Yeah.
Wow, that's great. And I think you negotiated from, I think it was 8 years to the whole length of the rest of the term of the loan, right?
Right. So we got 30 years on this bad boy.
Wow.
So 30 years to figure things out. Well, now it's probably like 28 years, but 28 years to figure this thing out. 28 years to cash flow. 28 years to probably just refinance. That's how I look at it. You have 28 years to refinance the property. That's how I look at it. Who would want to refinance a 2.8% interest rate? Nobody. Right. You know, everybody knows that this is what I bought wasn't a house. I purchased a bank, and that's key. When you do these seller finance deals, you're not buying houses. You're buying locked up cash. You're buying a bank. You're buying something that's going to spit out money every single month, year over year, until you decide that you want to let go. Here's what's cool about this deal. I actually used this deal as collateral, or it was close. We were going to. The investor said he didn't have to. He didn't require me to, but I was going to pick up a 15 unit in Phoenix, and I was going to use this as collateral because he loved the deal so much. He loved the cash flow so much that he wanted to pick this up as a collateralized asset in case I failed, with nothing out of my own pocket to pick up this property, to pick up a 15 unit in Phoenix. So when you do deals like this, investors know and they see it, and they look at these deals like just banks. These are banks you're buying. These are banks you're securing.
And what I love about that, I love Pine Top. It's one of my favorite places to go up and stay. And this is in Show Low, which is right next to Pine Top. So Show Low, Pine Top, they're all like literally next door to each other. The pine trees and the nice trees and stuff. It's like 30 degrees cooler up there than it is in Phoenix in the summertime. What I love about this too, Andrew, and I'm going to brag on you for a second, is you have a background. You understand all the creative real estate stuff. You can do a lot more deals than this straight up wholesaling. And not only that, but you have a lot of background and experience in property management, especially like Airbnb, short-term rentals. I know you have that pretty much automated now with your whole team and stuff. But what would something like this, what do you think it could kick off cash flow wise if you decided to Airbnb that like in the summertime and stuff?
Oh, as is in the summertime, if I really wanted to, 4,500, 5,500 a month.
You don't need a whole lot of those, right? To just, sometimes we think that to be financially free, we need to have $1 million in the bank. But really, if you can just create a certain amount of cash flow coming in, whatever stream of income you're focused on, it doesn't have to take a whole lot, right?
Right. Now, remember, my payment on it was only 600. So imagine the months that, I was able to secure anywhere from 25 to 4,500 bucks a month. That's a few $1,000s a month for just one property, one deal. One deal that I traded 20K for. I traded a $20,000 bill for hundreds of thousands of dollars residual down the line. That's what I did. I went to the deal. I traded a $20,000 bill for hundreds of thousands down the line. Now, is it going to require good management? Yeah. Is it going to require oversight? Yeah. Do you have to do it right? Yeah. Do you need the right title company? Yeah. But these deals exist. They're out there right now. They're out there more than ever because interest rates are high and people are desperate.
And one of the things, Andrew and I are cut from the same cloth. We can sit there and talk for hours about different deals and stuff or different scenarios. I do have a question for you, and one of the topics we're going to be covering tonight, Andrew, after you jump off, is lease options and like how to control a property, cash flow on a property without even owning it. And one of the things that you do, I love, is now you figured a way to partner and arbitrage with owners of properties that you don't even own, and do vacation rentals and stuff like that. Isn't that right?
Yeah, so that's how I got started. I will do some of those deals even today. But because we built such a great team, and I say we because my better half is Isaac. He's excellent. He's the majority of the brain. I'm an idiot that holds a hammer, and I can negotiate somewhat. But we built a team that manages short-term rental properties. We negotiate with owners a lot of times on a lease purchase or lease option, or just a long-term lease. We've locked up long-term leases before, where we'll say, hey, instead of us paying you the market rate of $1,400 a month, why don't we pay you $900 a month? And the owners are like, what? Why would you pay us less? And then we say, well, why don't we renovate your kitchen and bathroom at no charge to you? So what's the retail value of a new kitchen and a new bathroom? Well, a new kitchen plus appliances could cost you anywhere from $14,000 to $20,000. Okay.
Oh yeah.
And then a new bathroom, easy, 7 to 10. Okay. Well, instead of you coming up with that cash, what we'll do is we'll just knock it off the monthly rental income. Now I am very forthright and honest about it. I do tell them, here, this is the retail price of a new kitchen, new bathroom. Go get any bids you want from any contractor. I'm letting you know I'm not going to be paying that because I have my own people. Okay. I have my own teams. I have my own people that can renovate a kitchen for cheaper, can renovate a bathroom for cheaper. But if we set up a lease agreement, I'll pay $900 a month. And by the end of our 48-month or 60-month lease, you have a brand new kitchen, brand new bathroom. What do you think? Yeah, let's go. Let's do it. Okay. So in reality, I might spend on the bathroom, I might spend $4,000 on the bathroom, maybe 5,000. And a lot of it's just materials. I got guys that just charge for time. And then on the kitchen, I might spend anywhere from 10, maybe $11,000 on the kitchen. Okay. And when that's done, I'm cash flowing. I mean, this thing on an Airbnb might be $2,800 to $4,000 a month all year round. And I got that for 60 months or 10 years, or, I haven't been able to secure a 10-year deal yet, but, I have a long-term lease.
But don't most real estate investors, aren't we kind of like stuck on, we need to own so many properties, we need our name on the deed, we need.
Yeah. You just need enough cash flow.
Yeah.
It's about controlling. And we don't need to own it to control the asset. In fact, if you can control everything and own nothing, your liability, your tax risk is totally off the books. If you're controlling everything and cash flowing on it, then that's where you really want to be. Uber has, millions of drivers, but owns none of those cars. So it's a unique, it's a unique model, and it works really well. I'd say be very careful. Don't get yourself in a lease agreement that's a little high. I did get in trouble. I will be honest. I got into a lease agreement that was around $1,500 in Tempe, Arizona. And we had a really slow month in Airbnb in the summertime, and it wasn't producing, and we had to give it back to the landlord. But that was a learning curve.
But here's the thing is, I think in life, we think that everything, I think sometimes the school system teaches us that we never should fail. Like failure is bad. But I think sometimes when we fail or we mess up, those are the things we learn the most from. And we actually bound. I had a really good conversation with Jacob Blank. He's a young wholesaler. He's 20 years old. And we're talking about this concept. And he says, you know what? I call those slingshot opportunities. Where you kind of get pulled back. You're like, you fail or you mess up, you get pulled back, but then you're slingshotted forward a lot of times. Mm-hmm. Now, Andrew, I don't know if you know this. I'm going to share my screen real quick. In my community here, and I wanted to make sure I give you an invite. We have a recording from the live event we did almost 2 years ago, where you talked about your Airbnb strategies and stuff like that. Remember that? It'll be 2 years ago in May. So
that was such a great one. I loved that one.
Yeah,
that was a great one.
So we've known each other for a little bit now. I want to open up, if it's okay with you. Also, before you head out, I want them to ask you a few questions, but I would love you to kind of just share a little bit about what you're doing now and why the heck you're not in Arizona right now.
Yeah, so I'm gonna bore you guys. I started off learning creative real estate and picking up, single family homes. Now I've learned how to raise private capital. We've raised $50 million in a fund to go buy motels and hotels and convert them into multifamily. Totally different niche, totally different, animal, but it's actually not that hard. It's really not that hard. I was really good at raising private money for my short-term rental, for my creative acquisitions. For example, in the very beginning, I didn't have $10,000 to pay as a down payment to a seller when they asked for it. I didn't have it. I was really good at convincing my friends and family to put money towards this property, and I'd give them some sort of return, like a 20% return on their cash. If they gave me 10,000, I'd give them $2,000. As a return plus the 10K. So I learned how to raise money, and I learned how to put them inside of deals, and I learned how to give the rental income directly to the investor that gave me the money. So I see a guy on here named Nate Medina. Looks like you're out of Arizona, Nate. If I came to you, Nate, and you had $20,000, I said, hey, I got a deal. They need 20,000 down. Would you invest in my deal? I will make sure you get paid back first. So every single month that goes by, the waterfall would go to you. I don't get a dime until you're paid back all of your 20,000 plus 10% or 20% interest. And Nate's going to be like, heck yeah, I got some cash in my bank and it's doing nothing for me. So yeah, I'll do it. So he gives me the money. We create a note and deed of trust. He's probably a second lien holder. The first lien holder is the seller. So I got really good at that. I kept borrowing money. I kept doing that over and over again. I didn't need any of my own cash. I just went and convinced people to give me money. It was weird. It's like, hey, Aunt Peggy, I need some cash. I know you got some extra cash. You went to Harris Casino last week and you don't want to lose it. So I'm going to put it towards buying this condo in Scottsdale, Arizona. I just need $25,000. And anyways, I got really good at that. Did it over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Then I decided, okay, why don't we do small multifamily? So I did a 6-plex in downtown Phoenix, a 10-plex, a couple flips in Texas. And then from there, I decided to buy a motel. It was kind of a crazy idea. Like there's a 14-unit motel. Brian Applis actually sold it to me in Pine Top. And
I remember that deal and I was like, oh, what is he doing? Like, this is like, those old like single story motels, right?
Yeah, I love them. Those are my favorite. The 1950s Las Vegas Strip motels. That's my jam right there. Those are my boxes. Anyways, anything that's old school.
What you did with that? Make sure you tell them what you did with that, because I feel like that you saw something that no one else saw. You went in and redeveloped that whole thing, and now it's just amazing.
So when your typical investor shows up to buy a motel, what are they thinking? How the crap am I going to finance this, right? A motel is expensive. Might be $1 million, might be, more. How do I finance this? Well, if you ever call a commercial lender, what does a commercial lender tell you when you want to buy a motel? You need 50% down. Okay. They're not helpful. Okay. They hate guys like me. Lenders hate me. Okay. They say, wow, you want to buy an old dusty roach box and it's post-COVID? Like barely. We're like in the middle of COVID actually when this happened. And I'm like, yeah, I do. He's like, yeah, 50% down, we'll fund the rest at like 9.5% interest on a 15-year amortized mortgage. Terrible. I was not going to make any money doing that. It was stupid. So we saw an opportunity to turn it into multifamily. Now, I could have easily been a motelier because I own a short-term rental management company, but I thought, why don't we put a kitchen in these? What does the zoning require? So on and so forth. And found out it was a lot easier than I thought it was. And the city was cool with it. So we're putting in kitchens. I'm doing it on other people's money. People are investing in this deal. And then I actually exited out of that deal on a refinance. And then we bought another one. That was a 42 unit. It was a Motel 6. Okay. We bought it for $1.7 million. We bought a Motel 6 for $1.7 million at 42 units. You know what it should have sold for? $4.5 to $5 million. That's what it should have sold for, but we got it for $1.7 million. Okay. We didn't have to put a lot of money into it because it was already renovated, and we started leasing the units out for $14.50 a month. You tell me where you can find a $1.7 million multifamily asset that's 42 units that will be 100% occupied at $14.50 a month. You tell me. If you can tell me where that's at, So those are rare. Those are very rare. And we're buying these at $40,000 a unit. If you can find a house that someone will sell you for $40,000 that you can rent for $1,500 a month, then you're swinging for the fences. That's essentially what happened. So anyways, I exited out of that deal. And then we bought 2 more motels close by. And we still hold those. Our investors want them. They don't want to leave. They love the cash flow too much to sell. And then we bought another motel in McAllen, Texas, South Texas. And we're buying 3 more motels near here. And we're buying another motel in Show Low. And we're buying another motel in Phoenix. So
I love it. I love it.
We're just buying these motels, and we're seeing something nobody, people don't see. We're not novel. We're not new to this. And there's other people out there doing this too. But
hey Andrew, how crazy is the zoning stuff? Like the behind the scenes zoning stuff?
So you stay out of California, you stay out of New York, you stay out of New Jersey, you stay out of Mass. You're golden. Texas loves me. Arizona is getting harder. Arizona planning and zoning is crazy. Phoenix planning and zoning, it's actually getting really tough and slow.
I think it depends on the city. Some of the cities in Arizona are really horrible, and some of them are okay.
Correct. Sunbelt states, man. Really, it's just submit your idea and site plan over to the municipality. You can just find out the planning and zoning, get on the board for the meeting. Submit your idea, submit your architectural elevations, submit your plans, get a architectural rendering of it all, and then they're going to tell you yay or nay. Most of the time they say yay. Look, we find these crappy motels, like the one we just bought was a prostitution hub. You really think the city wants me to buy these properties and fix them up? Yeah, they do. They don't want a prostitution hub over there unless they were like sharing in the profits, but they weren't. So we bought these. Sorry, a little ad lib here, but we bought this one, and the city's like, "What do you want? Do you want money? We'll give you money. We'll give you a 1% interest loan. What do you want? You want a grant? We'll give it to you. Do you want extra variances? A variance is like when they give you they're more lax and lenient on zoning or parking. Anyways, they're helping us out a lot because we're taking these ugly properties and making them better. So that's what I do now. Sorry to go on a tangent there, but we buy old hospitality and make them into multifamily.
I'm loving it. I want to open up, if you got a few minutes, Andrew, before we let you go.
Of course.
If there's any questions for Andrew from anyone on the call here.
I have a couple of questions. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Hey, Rick.
Hey, how you doing, Andrew? So one is when you were getting the money from the private money people, you said you were offering them 10% and 20%. So how were you getting those numbers? Or you just, because you needed the money, you said just the speed of the money makes more better than the interest rate. So how you were giving them 10 or 20%, like how you were doing your numbers? Can you hear me?
Say it again, Rick. I don't think he heard you.
Okay, so what I would ask you was
when it cut out. It cut out, man. Try again.
Okay, so when you were talking to the private money people, your family and your friends about the interest rate, and you said you were giving them 10% and 20%, how were you doing the calculation for the 20%? Like how the numbers were making sense?
Yeah. So here's a good example for $100,000 flip. We're going to pick up $100,000 flip. I would either use hard money or 100% of the family's money. If there was no seller financing. If there was seller financing, I would use the family or friends' money for the down payment. And whatever they invested, I would pay them back on usually a 2-year note. I'd create a 24-month note to pay them back. And a lot of times it was 20% of the cash they put into the property. So if they put in, $10,000 for the down payment, I was going to pay them $2,000 on top of their $10,000. I had 24 months to get it done. I didn't owe them any payments during the 24 months. I didn't have to pay them anything. I could pay them all at the end. That was what I was offering. I had one investor, family friend, who said, "Hey, I'd like a monthly cash flow if that's okay." And so I did. And it was simple. It was simple interest. It's not compound interest. It's not like mortgage interest. It was simple interest. It was simple interest of 20% on the cash that they put in. And that was it. Okay. So it was actually a 20% interest fee on their money. It wasn't like a monthly hard money loan. It wasn't like a monthly, oh my gosh, I'm thinking of the Spanish word for this. Sorry, in South Texas, we speak Spanish a lot. How do you say préstamo hipotecario? How do you say that? Oh my gosh, mortgage loan. It wasn't like a normal mortgage loan. Okay. It was just a flat rate fee. Does that make sense?
It does. Okay. Because my other question is because of the monthly payments, because you were not giving them monthly, so it was just one time after 2 years, or because otherwise your cash flow was not enough, or it was enough to pay them every month. Okay, so that makes sense now.
You can't do that unless you get a sweetheart deal that's already ready to cash flow. So if you borrow your acquisition cash, like let's use that example. I need $10,000 from you, Rick. So I'm going to go to you, Rick, because you have $10,000 that you're not doing anything with. I say, Rick, I got a property. I just need $10,000 to buy it. The seller's going to give me 5 years to refinance or sell. So I'll give you back your 10 grand plus 2 grand on top of that in 2 years. So you're making money, on your cash more than you would anywhere else. Okay. You're making more than you would in the banks. You're making more than you would in a CD. You're making more than you would at Vanguard. You're making more than you would at a money market. You're making more than you would at Bitcoin. You're making more. Okay. And plus it's backed by real estate. You tell them, hey, I can't really fail because if I do, you get the house. So I also throw that in there. And I even write that clause in there in the event that I cannot pay back their funds in a timely manner in the 24-month period. They take over the deed. I just do a deed in lieu. So
I think this is really important. I think this is really important because a lot of us, Andrew, feel like if a seller asks for too big of a down payment, I can't do the deal. But no, we gotta keep thinking, how can I make the deal work? If the numbers make sense, how can I make the deal work? And I love how you're using private money that way.
Right, and you should telling them 20%, but you're paying them 20% in 2 years. Something else you would
say?
They love that.
Will you say that again one more time, Rick?
He said, like, he told them 20%, so that attractive because that's what hit me. And he's paying 20%, but how he's paying 20%? But he's paying that 20% in 2 years, so technically it's 10% a year.
Yeah, simple interest, right? Or interest fee.
Correct.
I love that.
Yeah.
Correct.
So, and what else do you say? You said you were about to say something, and I interrupted you.
Something else I do. So here's a really good negotiation point piece. If you got a seller that's desperate to sell, but they won't do 10%, or $10,000 down, or $5,000 down, or 0% down, or whatever, they won't do any of that. What I typically tell them is like, okay, cool. Why don't I just lease it from you for a couple of years, then buy it? Is that cool? And that works out really well because if it's a lease, I don't pay anything down. Yeah. And then I tell them, hey, I'm going to have the option to buy it. It's still a seller carry deal, guys. It's just, I don't have ownership of the title, right? So we're going to create 2 different documents. One's a lease agreement. One's an option to purchase agreement. I'm going to record both of those at a county level. So they can't sell the property from underneath me. They can't do any of that. And what I say is, hey, I'm going to lease this for a couple of years. They go, okay, cool. What kind of deposit are you going to pay? And I say, well, because the house needs some work, I'm going to actually save that deposit to fix up your own house. How does that sound?
Sounds good.
They go, oh, that's so nice. That's so nice of you, and it's kind of funny because I already know they're out of cash or they're kind of financially struggling. So I say, listen, instead of me paying you a deposit, why don't I put that money towards beautifying your home so we can get this thing cash flowing? I'm just very upfront with these people. And they're like, yeah, that sounds fine. Sometimes they'll give me pushback. Sometimes they'll say, I need $5,000 minimum. Okay, fine. We'll do a $5,000 deposit, lease deposit. But that's coming off the purchase price. That's coming off the purchase price. So
I'm going to share one thing with everyone because I think there's a lot of
I set up my leases to...
Go ahead, Andrew. Go ahead.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
I was just going to say to avoid mystique and all the NLPs. A lot of times we think we need all these secret ways of negotiating things, but what I find and what Andrew's found is a lot of the same thing. A lot of times you get these deals simply because you ask, and you're just straightforward.
Actually, that's what I'm going to do tomorrow. I have a seller. I'm going to tell him that I'm going to lease it and see what he says, and I'll spend the money on the fixing it. I think that would be awesome.
Yep. Yeah. I say I don't want to do a double down payment. I don't want to do a down payment to you, then another down payment to fix up the house. So,
I love that.
That's really good.
And that's awesome. Yeah. I Mr. Seller, do you
Travis, did you have a question?
Your house? Go ahead.
Travis, sorry, Travis, did you have a question?
Yeah. Is that scenario of the lease and then the option to buy, is that the same thing as a lease option?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So a lease option is not one contract or one document. It really depends on what your local real estate attorney would require. I know in Arizona and in Texas is actually trickier. There's a guy in Texas named John Jackson who's very good at lease options. But in Arizona and most states, there's 2 different documents you need. You need a lease agreement, That includes the sublease clause. Okay, a sublease clause allows you to re-rent the property after you rent it from the owner. And then you also need a purchase agreement, but it's an option to purchase agreement. Okay. And the option to purchase allows you to, at any time, have the express option to exercise a purchase. If you don't want to, you don't have to. That's the beauty of lease options. You don't have to buy it if you don't want to. So can you guys still hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
Andrew, you bring up one good point. And one of the things that I wanted to kind of reiterate is that knowledge is power. Knowledge is, if you have knowledge in this business, especially in the uncertain economic times that we're going into right now and been going through, knowledge, you can lose everything and still come back. Like Andrew, if I put Andrew in a situation, I put Andrew in a town, said, Andrew, I'm not going to give you any money. You have maybe $100 or $500 in your pocket to eat and, live on for a week or so. And I say, I want you to find a property that cash flows $500 a month. Could Andrew figure that out? I know the answer. Andrew, what?
Yeah.
We should do that. So we should do like
you want to know,
dude,
I'm
like
down.
That.
Throw me in the wolves, man. I'm down. Here's what I would do with the money. You want to know? This is what I would do. I'd go to my nearest print copy shop. Okay. Print copy place. I would negotiate a deal where I could focus on one neighborhood, and it might be a B-class neighborhood, where they will agree to send at least 15 letters, for 15 months, once a month, every single month, these letters go out to one neighborhood. And it offers to purchase their home for cash. And in the event that they can't do it for cash, I can do it on a seller finance, or if I can do it on a wrap, or I can do it on a lease option deal, I would. But that's what I would do. If I had $500, that might not give me much. Maybe I only send letters to, 20 houses. I don't know. Maybe 20 of the worst houses in a neighborhood. But I would probably put signage and send letters to one neighborhood, only one focused area, offering to buy their house. And I would put out the whole shebang. No realtor fees, buy it as is, any condition, no walkthroughs, no paperwork, no blah, 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 and I'm going to get a deal. Someone's going to sell me their property.
Yeah.
Andrew, I know my house is worth $1 million. I want $1 million. Okay, great. I'll give you $1 million. I'm going to pay 0.001% down. I'm going to pay 0.0001% interest every single month for the next 30 years. I'll pay you $1 million for your house. So I know that's an extreme example. That's a very extreme example. But my point is, to pull you out of the mindset that you can't do a deal. If someone wants a price, there's a way to make it work. So
term or price, yeah.
Yeah. I know we're holding on. Any last questions for Andrew?
I have one more because about the multifamily thing. Like, what work does he does on the multifamily? Like the motels that you're buying, how much money you're spending on it?
So we typically buy anywhere between $20,000 to $35,000 a door. So we're paying $20,000 to $35,000 a door, and then we put around 20 grand into each unit. Each of these units, though, are totally decked out studios. So if you can imagine what a motel room looks like, imagine that the motel room has a kitchen. Imagine that it's all furnished. Imagine that it has a queen bed. Imagine that it has nightstands, an accent chair, a totally remodeled bathroom. It looks modern. It's beautiful. You can go to my website, motels2apartments.com, and see what we do. But that's what we do. And we furnish them. These are furnished rentals. These are not, move in, back up the U-Haul. No, it's done. So, and we set up lease agreements anywhere from weekly rentals to 1-year lease agreements.
I love it. Anything else before we let Andrew go? And Andrew, thank you so much for jumping on and sharing that case study with us. And that was just one house, it's just one deal that Andrew and I did together. And it was a fun deal because I got some Airbnb time up in Pine Top. I get to go bug him for some pancakes maybe next time I go up there. So
it's always a pleasure being with you, man.
I think Travis had one more question. Go ahead, Travis.
Yeah, Andrew, what is your advice to newbies in investing who have learned a lot about a lot of different strategies and get paralyzed by too many strategies? Knowing
that's a great question. I think that's a great question for everyone in this group. That's a great question.
Yeah.
So here's my advice. Get out there and lock up just one creative finance deal. If you can lock up one creative finance deal, it'll set the precedence for your future real estate doings. You just do one. All it takes is one real estate deal, and you'll hit a lot of bumps in the road. You'll try to lock up a lease option, it falls through. You'll try to lock up a seller finance and no one's biting. But you'll get one. You'll get one. You will do it. I promise. You keep at it, you'll do it. You might buy another wholesaler's deal. You might tell a wholesaler how you want to convert the deal from a cash deal to a seller finance deal. You will lock up a deal. That's step one. Step one is, by all means, lock up a creative deal. Lock up one creative deal, buy one creative deal. Step two, okay? This is probably more important than step one. Step two, learn how to raise private capital. Do everything you can to raise private capital. Listen, you don't have to wholesale another deal in your whole life if you had private capital. You just buy it. You're just the owner. You don't need a bank. No bank. I just spoke with an executive for Barclays Bank in New York City, and they have $150 million they want to deploy in our projects. Okay, that's a big deal.
Hey, Andrew, hey, Travis, why don't you tell Andrew what you do right now for work?
I do hard money loans for fix and flip investors and new construction. And so,
dude, you raise money.
Well, I don't do it. I'm just a loan originator. But then I told Brandon I started my own mastermind group, and I have like 10 friends that are ready to hand over money to me. But I haven't had the mentor to say, like, how do I structure this? So just even hearing about your 2-year thing was interesting.
Yeah. So you don't work for Noah Brocious, do you? Capital Fund One?
No, they're a competitor in the Phoenix market. We're Merchants Mortgage.
They're Merchant.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Yeah. I know Merchant. Okay. So here's what I would say, Travis, for you. Your company has what's called a Regulation D 506C fund. It's not, I know it's sounding crazy, but they have what's also known as a private placement memorandum. And they're out there raising money to build the fund. It costs probably $25-30K to build a fund. That's what we've done. We built a fund with other people's money. We didn't pay for it. Okay. If you guys think that I'm just some bougie dude, no, you haven't seen me walk around outside in shorts and t-shirt. Okay. We use other people's money. That's what it's about. The fund gives a return to all investors known as limited partners. If you're going to start a hard money lending firm, it's very competitive, but it's very lucrative. That's a route that I thought about going. I didn't want to. I wanted to actually buy the assets and own them with partners. I would start a private equity fund if I was you. Again, for everybody listening, number one, go do one creative deal. Get Brandon on board and do one creative deal. Work with Brandon, get a creative deal done, okay? Once you do one, you'll know exactly how to do it again and again and again. Number two, go raise private money. You don't need to build a Reg D 506C fund. You don't need to go get an SEC license. You can raise private money by telling people they will partner with you on title. Okay, they will be on title with you. They will either build an LLC as a partner or they'll be on title with you. Go ahead, Brandon. Sorry.
Andrew, I was going to say, I love what you did. You just talked about what you're doing and talk to people about borrowing money from them and friends and family. And a lot of times, and you're really good about putting stuff out on social media, projects you're working on. And one of our friends did that, and he had a 30-unit complex in Phoenix. He already raised like $1.5 million for it already. So,
yep. One kid you guys should follow is Johnny McKinnon. Do you know him? Johnny McEwen. I don't even know how to say his last name. He's on social media. He's in Mesa. He's a kid.
Okay.
He's 23 years old, and he's raising money left and right for like a fourplex, sixplex, a duplex. Again, raising money, when you figure that out, you'll realize, holy crap, this was not hard. Then you got to get good at underwriting deals. If you suck at underwriting deals, you're not going to last long. You have to make sure you buy the right deal and know exactly how much goes into the deal.
Andrew, I wanted to thank you so much for your time and jumping on here, and thank you for letting me share HUD settlement statements and the contracts that we used on that deal. So I just wanted to say thanks for jumping on.
Thank you, Brandon. Thanks, guys. Good luck, everyone.
Hey, thanks, brother. Good luck.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you so
much. That was a really, really good guest and good interview. We're just to let you know, the next 2 weeks, we're going to spend time on more of the stuff, but that went a little bit longer than I was anticipating, but it was really fun to have Andrew on. I'm going to have on a couple more guests over the next few weeks, just to let you know, people that I've done deals with. One of them is an attorney, an estate attorney, and he's going to share how he turned a simple lease option deal it was a free and clear property, into a seller carryback deal. And what was interesting is I tried to negotiate with the seller. Pace Morby tried to negotiate with the seller. We both were working on the deal together. Pace didn't want the lease option. I sold it to this attorney, and he was able to negotiate the deal with her, even though Pace couldn't and I couldn't. It was amazing. So his name is Rylas. He's going to be on, I think, the first week in February. Amazing. So, we're going to have a couple different guests. We'll have another guest on here. And we're talking real deals. So part of the reason why I'm bringing some of these friends of mine and some of these guests of mine is I want to show you guys some deals that I've done. I want to show you some deals that they're doing, because I feel like sometimes when we're learning this, it's like pie in the sky. It's like, oh, that's great, someone else can do it, but it's not tangible and relatable and real life. But I wanted to show that it's very tangible, very relatable. Sasan, thanks for jumping on here. I want to, and I know you're out walking. Can I just ask you to jump on for a second? I want to share. Sasan, you did some really creative deals not too long ago, right? Down, was it Louisiana or something? I think it was. I think you're muted right now. You have to hit the microphone. I think you're muted, Sasan. I think you're still muted. No. Oh, that was a camera. Hit the microphone. Maybe that'll turn it on. Uh-oh. Technology, don't you love it? Well, while you're trying to do that, I'll try to share a little bit if it's okay. Was it 2 or 3 houses? 2 houses. You bought them for $5,000 each or something like that? $8,000. Okay, $8,000. And then you sold them on seller financing, right? Beautiful. Okay. And that's just one idea, right? So there's a lot of different stuff out here now. I wanted, and I don't know if we're going to have much time to dive into this really.
Hey, Brendan, can I ask you a question on that deal that you guys were just talking about? So on the terms and conditions, I was just looking at those, and that last one, I was curious about if you could explain that. It says something like it talks about the VA loan, and it talks about switching out some language, and I was curious about that.
Yeah, let me see if I can find that. This is the HUD settlement. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can. Oh, that's not it. I have to find the contract now. I think I lost it. Sorry.
I have it. I could share my screen real quick.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see.
Go ahead. Now you should be able to.
Cool. Crap. My settings, I don't have it set up. I'm gonna quit and reopen, so I'm gonna jump right back in.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to see what his question was. Let's see here. I'm trying to find that contract now. Oh, there it is. No, that's a settlement statement. Oh, hopefully you'll jump in here. Let's see. All right, Nate.
Sweet. Thanks for your guys' patience. All right.
There you
Yeah,
go.
so right here, line 356, right? So it was like, I was curious what you like why this was put in there in regards to the
good question. Because if you notice, it did a agreement for sale instead of a note and deed of trust, right? Is that the question?
Yeah.
So part of the reason why that is, and those of you that have already learned this, it's interesting, is the VA loans. If you do what's called an agreement for sale on those, it doesn't violate the due on sale clause, apparently, because they don't consider that the sale has been completed yet. It's an agreement for sale.
Okay.
So
that's why that's in there, not to trigger that due on sale clause. Okay, cool.
Right. Yeah. And that was and I'll share that screen real quick just so you guys can see that deal. So this was the deal that can you guys see the screen right now?
Yeah.
Okay. And feel free to look it up on Monsoon and all that stuff. So 441, I think how they say it is Mogollon, Mogollon Rim. How do you say that? Everyone in Arizona would know. Mogollon, I think.
Mogollon.
There you go. I always mess it up. His street that he lives on is right across from this beautiful lake in Sholo. So like, and he homeschools his kids. So he's actually in Texas right now working on some development projects. But now a lot of this, what's interesting is, have you guys been seeing the days on market going up?
Yeah.
A lot. So Corey, can I pick on you for a second? Corey's brand new in the group too. I just want to welcome him in. Claude's jumped on. Uncle Claude's here. Awesome. Corey, if you can unmute yourself real quick. We were able to kind of put a list together in Mesa Gilbert of properties that are on the market for a long time. I think they've been on the market for well over 120 days. And where did he go? Did we lose him?
I'm right here.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Well over 120 days, I believe. And they're offering lease purchase or lease options, right? Now I gave him an assignment just to start calling it. Any luck on any of those? You get a hold of any of the realtors?
No, I don't know what. No, I tried. Only got to 2 of them. I've been doing some other things and other leads in other states, but I had this this one lady, Tina. She's supposed to call me back. I'd sent her a text at 1 o'clock in the morning on the phone number that showed up, and hoped that it wouldn't bother because I was awake. And so I sent messages out, and I was hoping that they would get back to me, at 9 in the morning or something. I didn't want to wake her, but she brought that up. She goes, "Oh yeah, you sent me a message about 1 o'clock in the morning." So anyways, I just got a hold of her a little bit ago, and finally on the phone. I've tried a couple times, but she's had meeting after meeting today. So I haven't gotten very far in that one yet.
That's fine. But I did want to take a minute and just kind of show you guys how to look for some of these, because they're becoming. Go ahead, Corey.
I'm sorry, but when we're listening to Andrew LeBaron, I think I've actually heard of him before, but he was talking about how he had private money to help him by, like, maybe somebody had $10,000, maybe somebody, I was just thinking like the one that you and I were looking at, the horse property. Let's just say that was a good deal. Maybe it is, but you know how they needed like 250 down. If you had several people that had money just sitting that wasn't making much interest, maybe that would be a kind of a solution for that kind of property deal.
Yeah, so typically it depends on what your strategy is, what your end strategy is. If you're going to sign the deal and wholesale it out and be done with it, or if you're going to keep it as a long-term cash flowing asset. So there's different strategies, right?
If we had 10 people that had 25,000, for example.
Yeah, it's everyone has different risk factors. So usually what I tell those that haven't done a deal yet, or you're just starting out, I'm not a big fan of you taking on a lot of debt. I'm not a fan of you signing debt with a bank or with a hard money lender or even private money if you can avoid it. I'd rather you kind of just churn a few deals first, stack a little bit of cash, put a little savings, and then you're in a position where your bills are paid. One of my mentors would have me pay all my bills, like my rent or my mortgage payment, my utility bills, several months ahead. So that way, no matter what, bills were paid for. Now you can keep a savings account, but there's something about that they had me do, just prepay it, even though you don't have to do that. But it's done. It's all credited, right? I don't have to worry about the internet or the electric bill or anything like that for months. So it just depends on your own risk factor. So most of you, when you're starting out, I would be careful just taking on personal liability debt. I don't sign for any personal liability debt. Now, Claude's on here too, and one of the things that we're really focusing on right now at this time, I think for the next 12 to 18 months, is going to be huge. You can control a lot of real estate. You can set prices. You can even put clauses in your deals where you can do lease option deals on a lot of this stuff, and then put a clause in there that you're going to buy it at this price or appraised value, whichever is lower, or a percent of appraised value. For example, 75% of appraised value or 80% of the appraised value. Because a lot of times if you're going to refinance and get a loan, then it'll only cover like 75 to 80% of the actual appraised value of the property. So, but a lot of this creative real estate stuff, especially right now, I would really encourage you to think lease options. There's going to be plenty of seller carrybacks, plenty of wraps to do. I just make sure that if you're going to get in the middle of any of that, make sure you have equity at least 10% or more, and make sure you're cash flowing, where you have at least $500 a month or 3 to 4 months worth of positive cash flow that can cover your monthly payment in case you have a vacancy. And that you have at least 5 years. Yeah, go ahead, Corey.
Okay, Tina just called back. Do you want to call her and make a live call?
What is this one? Sorry.
This is the one that's the string condo, 3-bedroom, 3-bath in Gilbert in Canyon Creek.
Okay, let's pull it up. Let's pull it up real quick on the screen. Okay, and what's the address?
1628 East Canyon Creek.
Oops.
Gilbert. Yeah,
1628.
Yep.
East Canyon Street or
Canyon Creek. Sorry, Canyon Creek. Yeah.
Okay. All righty. So, what's the situation on the seller will pay $20K toward buyer costs? Okay, fully detached, great investment with tenant in place. So there's a tenant in place through September. Okay. And is this one that is a lease option?
That came up as under the lease purchase search words.
Okay. Look at this, everyone. Can you see what I'm highlighting here on this last paragraph? Typically, I stay away from listed properties, but I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities as properties start getting, stale on the MLS. It says seller flexible and willing to help buyer with creative ways to purchase.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome, right? Isn't that great? Look at that.
So you want her number?
Tina's the realtor, right? Okay, let me just do one more thing real quick. I'm gonna pull up on PropStream here. That's Andrew's website there. Now, how should the call go for everyone that follows Claude's gut style sales? How should we kind of start the call out?
Well, you gotta make sure it's still available.
Yeah.
And
Is
then
it set the agenda?
So one of the
Brendan,
steps is
quick
set the
question. Brendan, quick question. Do you, so
Uh-huh.
since it's listed, you have to talk to the agent, not the owner, is that correct? Or can you talk to the owner?
Yeah, it is going to be the agent that we're talking to, I think. I
Mhm.
think the agent is Tina, right?
right. Looks
So
like she's waiting.
Tina Garcia right here. Is that her phone number?
I have 8462, ends in 8462. I can't see what you have there.
Oh, 480. What's the number?
I have 602
Okay,
45
602
451
451.
8462. Do you want me to call her and patch in, or do you want to call straight to her, or what?
I'll just call her straight just a second here. So 602 451 8462.
Correct.
Right. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, now it's been on the market 22 days. They're open to something creative. Looks like they got it. Looks like they got this loan in 2007. Is that right? Payments.
Is it okay if I text her? Is it okay if I text her and let her know that I or Brandon will get a hold of her?
No, we'll just try it cold and see what
Okay,
happens. I
Got
just
it.
want to. That's a really long loan term. Do you see that? 480 months.
4 years?
Well,
Or what?
it
was it?
says 480 months. So usually a 30-year loan is 360 months. So let's see what's going on with her. I'm gonna give her a call.
All right, thanks.
Okay.
You're gonna mute us all?
If you can mute yourself now, let me just stop share for a second. Now, whenever we call, there's 3 steps to the gut sales method, right? One is the agenda step. That's where we kind of set the agenda, set the guidelines and the rules about the conversation, and giving them permission to say no, getting permission from them for us to ask questions. Then the qualification is where we're asking questions, finding out about the property, finding out the motivation and everything like that, right? Then the third step is where we go to the close. Okay.